Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Tutuzile Ramela. Here are the stories we're tracking for you this evening.
There's nothing unparliamentary about the word fraction. And if you are ruling that that is unparliamentary,
Honorable
no, this happens every time you're in the House.
The second day of debate over the President's State of the Nation address descends into chaos. 8 protesters are out on bail following a night of destruction and chaos at the University of Cape Town. To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct. Our hashtags this evening, Sona Debate and Shagville. And the second day of the debate on President Jacob Zuma's State of the Nation address degenerated into chaos this afternoon. Proceedings kicked off without the economic freedom fighters. The party has boycotted the debate after walking out during yesterday's proceedings.
It all started with some tough talk from Speaker Baleka Mbete.
Freedom of speech should be exercised in a manner that does not infringe upon the privileges of other members.
Fictions and conspiracy.
She's referred EFF leader Julius Malema to Parliament's Rules Committee following his scathing comments about President Jacob Zuma on Wednesday. Economic Development Minister Ibrahim Patel has used his turn on the podium to hit back at opposition parties for being what he says was unnecessarily hostile towards the ANC.
We should not and will not succumb to a narrative of anger, despair, hopelessness, and blame. There was a lot of that yesterday from sections of the opposition. They make good prophets of doom and gloom at a time when we need collective leadership and a closing of ranks as South Africans.
But this didn't deter the DA from poking holes in the president's turnaround plan.
Nothing, no inspiration, no passion, no conviction, no urgency, no hope, and most important of all, no decisive response to the economic crisis in South Africa, and no decisive response to avoid a ratings downgrade in South Africa.
The debate descended into chaos when the DA and the presiding officer clashed over House rules.
You are talking complete rubbish now, and you are making this House a joke. You are turning this House into a joke.
Honorable member.
You're not fit to sit in that chair.
Honorable member.
How dare you infringe on his right? How dare you infringe on his right to freedom of speech?
President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate tomorrow.
Higher education matters now, and 8 protesters arrested during last night's chaotic demonstrations at the University of Cape Town have been released on bail. University management says 7 of those arrested have been suspended and 1 was not a registered student.
Stun grenades fired as police move in to disperse protesters belonging to the Rhodes Must Fall movement. The University of Cape Town's management gave these protesting students until 5 p.m. last night to move a shack they'd erected on campus. Clashes ensued as the protesters continued to demonstrate against the shortage of student accommodation. Artwork and photographs were ripped off the walls of residences and then set alight. 2 university vehicles were also burnt. The protesters claim white students are given preferential treatment, a claim the university denies.
We have around 6,800 beds that are residential in our residences, and over 75% of them are allocated and currently occupied by black students. So the overwhelming majority is black students.
8 protesters were arrested, one of whom is not registered as a student at the university. They appeared at the Wynberg Magistrates Court on public violence and malicious damage to property charges. They were released on bail of 7,800 rand collectively. One of them is the son of Eskom's CEO, Brian Molefe. The university is said to be seeking an urgent interdict against protesting students. Meanwhile, the University of the Western Cape's management was handed a memorandum by the UWC Fees Will Fall group. One of their demands is an end to the outsourcing of workers. Team Tongana, Cape Town.
So private healthcare in South Africa is among the most expensive in the world, and only 16% of the country is on medical aid. This emerged at the health market inquiry currently underway in Pretoria. The Competition Commission is probing why South Africans are paying above inflation rates for private healthcare.
The cost of private healthcare in South Africa is on par with the UK, France, Germany and other countries with much higher income levels. That's according to a World Health Organization report tabled at the Health Market Inquiry run by the Competition Commission. Specialists have been singled out for charging exorbitant rates.
There is an increase in prices for hospital services provided by private facility, and this increase in time is higher than inflation, so general prices growth as measured by the Consumer Price Index.
Only 16% of the South African population is on medical aid. And in many cases, schemes are refusing to pay the full cost of client treatment. For mental illnesses like depression and bipolar disorder, specialists are said to charge between 200 and 300% above medical aid rates.
And who is responsible for that co-payment? Often means patients have to make out-of-pocket payments or reduce the number of visits that they can make to the specialist due to what benefit is available to them.
A lack of regulation and price-setting mechanisms have contributed to high prices. The Competition Commission will make a recommendation on the matter in December. Sikelelwa Mdingi, Pretoria.
In other local news, more details have emerged about the man suspected of masterminding the killing of Northwest businessman Wandile Bozwana. The 29-year-old suspect, who cannot be identified for his own safety, has been dodging police for 10 years now. He's wanted in connection with several crimes ranging from kidnapping and housebreaking to attempted murder and murder. He joins two other suspects who were arrested last year. All three have been charged with murder and attempted murder and remain in custody. The case has been postponed to April. NPA boss Sean Abrahams has reinstated charges of fraud and racketeering against KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head Johan Boysen. Boysen and 27 members of the former Cato Manor Organised Crime Unit will face more than 116 charges dating back to 2012. Boysen and his co-accused are due to appear in the KwaZulu-Natal High Court on Friday. Last year, the same court ordered the charges against Boysen be dropped and his suspension as provincial head of the Hawks be overturned. A quick look at international news now, and the African Union has deployed observers to Uganda. That's ahead of tomorrow's presidential and parliamentary elections. The run-up to the elections has been marred by widespread violence in the capital, Kampala. They've been running battles between police and supporters of opposition leader Kizza Besigye. He was arrested on Monday for holding a rally in an area which was blocked off by police. 6 other candidates will challenge President Yoweri Museveni's 3-decade reign. And Apple Incorporated says it will contest a court order to help the FBI access information from an iPhone of one of the San Bernardino shooters. The ruling is the first of its kind, and Apple Incorporated CEO Tim Cook says he will fight the order as it has implications far beyond the case at hand. Encryption technology has so far prevented authorities from accessing data on the device. Said Rizwan Farouk is one of the alleged killers in the December mass shooting. 14 people were killed in that attack. Farouk and his wife died during a gun battle with police. Right, let's see what's topical on social media now. And is the word faction a divisive word or not? Well, it's what led this man, Musiwa Lekota, to become a top trend during the SONA debate today. The discussion very quickly became heated, while the DA's John Steenhuisen was even asked to leave the House. And looking at tertiary education problems dominating social media again this time at the University of the Western Cape, much of the issue revolves around students who haven't registered yet and are now missing classes because they're standing in long queues. Just to go back to a poll where we asked you what you thought of the protests at UCT and voting, and 37% of the people saying it was justified. That's in response to the question of whether you thought it was hooliganism or whether the protests were justified, and 63% voting that it was indeed a hooliganism. Right. For these stories and more, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct, or head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Money matters now, and the average price of goods and services rose by 6.2% in January. It marks a 1 percentage point increase when compared to December's figure. This is the first time since August 2014 that inflation has breached the Reserve Bank's target band of 3 to 6%. It's also higher than analysts had forecast. They'd anticipated a reading of 5.4%. CPI is used to measure inflation for basic goods and services in the country. Core inflation, which excludes the price of food, non-alcoholic beverages, petrol and energy, edged up to 5.6% year-on-year in January from 5.2% the previous month. A bid by a Gupta-controlled company to take over Optimum Coal is facing fierce opposition over potential job losses. Last week, the Competition Commission provisionally approached the transaction on condition there would be no retrenchments after the conclusion of the deal. However, Tegeta Exploration and Resources now says it can't make any promises. The company says it has only limited insight into Optimum and no due diligence has yet been carried out. Unions have demanded guarantees that workers won't lose jobs in a sector that's already volatile. Right, let's see how the markets perform today. Let's check in with the Weather Center now. Here's Joel Guy.
It's time for a latest weather update from the Weather Center, and we start with the latest satellite picture where we see storm clouds that brought us very unsettled weather throughout Wednesday across the western, central and eastern parts of South Africa. Now on Thursday we are going to stay with similar weather conditions, just a bit of cloud however along the west coast and light early morning rain for the south coast. We are expecting thunderstorms to extend from the eastern parts of the Northern Cape into much of eastern South Africa, where scattered thunderstorms are possible across the Free State, the Eastern Cape and much of KwaZulu-Natal. Now let's take it closer to your area, and we start with KwaZulu-Natal, where it's going to be mostly cloudy to overcast with scattered thunderstorms in most areas, highs around 26 for Durban and Port Shepstone. Similar weather is forecast across much of the Eastern Cape. It's going to be much warmer here, particularly over the western areas. Port Elizabeth will peak at around 26. We are expecting light rain, especially in the morning between Bredasdorp and Plettenberg Bay for the Western Cape. It's going to be mostly sunny for Cape Town and Langaban, reaching highs in the upper 20s. Thunder showers are forecast for the eastern areas of the Northern Cape. It's going to be mostly sunny and comfortably warm for the western sections. We are also going to see scattered thunderstorms across much of the Free State. Mild temperatures for Bethlehem and Harrismith, both reaching highs of around 24 degrees. It's going to be unsettled for the northwest, Mahikeng, Zeerust and Rustenburg, all reaching highs of around 34. Thunder showers are forecast in Limpopo for the southwestern areas. Sanin is going to be partly cloudy with a high of around 32 degrees. It's going to stay stormy for the Mpumalanga Highveld. We could also see thunderstorms for Skukuza Mbombela, who peak at around 32 degrees. We stay with thunder showers for Gauteng with highs in the lower 30s. Looking ahead to your Friday, we are going to see a bit of rain creeping into Cape Town. Thunder showers will continue across eastern South Africa. Then on Saturday, light rain is forecast between Cape Town and East London. Thunder showers will persist for KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State.
Thank you, Joel. Here's what's coming up after the break. Paul McCartney left out in the cold and dressing down for Lady Gaga at this year's Grammy Awards. Hello again. From the Beatles bassist Paul McCartney barred from the after-party to fans seeking attention from award winner Taylor Swift.
And not forgetting Lady Gaga's supposedly overexcited tribute to the late David Bowie. Let's take a look at entertainment news making headlines.
Seems the Beatles bassist Paul McCartney is to make another hit to be remembered with. He was denied entry at a Grammy Award after party. Not once, but twice. This after he was told by security that he was not welcomed. The composer, music writer and film producer was heard asking security, "How VIP do we gotta get? We need another hit." It has emerged that a day before American songstress Taylor Swift bagged the Album of the Year at the Grammys, an overzealous fan bashed at the star's Beverly Hills home. The unidentified man with a guitar was spotted loitering at the pad's front gate. When security ordered him to leave, he told them that he and Taylor had worked together in the past. Police were called in to escort him out of the estate. Still on the Grammys. Not everyone was so gaga about Lady Gaga's tribute performance to the late David Bowie. His son Duncan Jones and his mother have described the performance as overexcited with excessive enthusiasm and mentally confusing. But some fans felt Jones was not fair to Gaga. The British singer died in January.
A reminder of the day's top stories before we say goodbye.
There's nothing unparliamentary about the word fraction. And if you are ruling that that is unparliamentary...
Honorable
this happens every time you're in the House. Every time.
The second day of debate over the President's State of the Nation address descends into chaos. 8 protesters are out on bail following a night of destruction and unrest at the University of Cape Town. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
It's indeed still on the way, Rhythm City. We're back tomorrow.
Remember, you can share your views with us. Do send us an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or just talk to us on Twitter and Facebook, and our handle is @eNewsDirect.
Until tomorrow evening, have a fantastic night. Bye-bye.